he took a bunch of his followers, put them in a room, said room was locked so you couldn't get out, and a fire was in the room. So I'm pretty sure you can guess how that went down. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about the restoration of the Ten Commandments. This happened in 1989. But before we get into that, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because these videos actually take a really long time to make, and you'd be doing me the biggest favor if you actually did do those things. But without further ado, let's talk about the disturbing truth of the restoration of the Ten Commandments. So in 1989, there was a guy named Joseph that wanted to bring a big group of people together, and he wanted to start a church, and he wanted to teach these people about God. That's literally how every cult starts out. And then Joseph basically goes on to say that God spoke to him, and God wants him to teach people the Ten Commandments. If you don't know what the Ten Commandments are, they're basically 10 rules that God gave us a long, long time ago that we should still obey today. A lot of people liked Joseph's idea, and a lot of people wanted to join his church to learn more about the Ten Commandments. And it got bigger and bigger, and this happened. Joseph then goes on to say that the end of the world is coming, and you need to be ready, and you need to live your life by the Ten Commandments. Which, by the way, what he's saying is, like, you should actually live your life by the Ten Commandments. You should. And then Joseph and his followers moved to a place in Uganda, and they prayed there, and they bought that if they moved out there, that, like, God would be watching over them, and they could pursue as a community. Joseph then tells these people that if they follow the Ten Commandments, not only will they be protected by God, but they'll just live a really good life. And these people believe Joseph. Why? As time went on, a lot of people started noticing that Joseph started getting more strict, more controlling, and they started to question, like, oh man, why is Joseph doing this to us? It doesn't make sense. And then Joseph just started making like strict rules. Like, he started saying you can't listen to music, you can't watch TV, you can only focus on God and the Ten Commandments. And he was being really mean when he said all of this. Bro, I don't know why, but my throat is feeling really scratchy. And then Joseph then goes on to say, that you should not have any contact with anybody outside of this place, okay? They're only going to lead you away from God, and if you're going to you should only focus on God and the Ten Commandments. And then a lot of his followers started questioning whether or not Joseph was actually a messenger of God, and if what he was saying was actually true, but no one wanted to speak up to him because they were afraid that, like, he'd get mad or something. And then this psychopath proceeds to tell these people stories of what will happen if they disobeyed him. You heard that right. Disobeyed him. Not God, not Jesus. Disobeyed him. This psychopath! And you gotta think, these people actually believe the nonsense that is coming out of this man's mouth. Not only do they believe that he's a messenger of God, but they also believe everything he says. So when he went out of his way to be like, yo, if you disobey me, bad things are gonna happen. These people actually believed it, because they thought he was a messenger of God. It was crazy. Joseph, he then goes on to say that, yo, the end of the world is coming, and you guys need to be extra, extra good. Because if you're not good, God is gonna come back, and he's gonna see that you're not good, and it's gonna be a whole thing. And then one day, Joseph has a vision, basically, and the vision was like, okay, God is gonna come back, but it's gonna be a special event, okay? So we all need to be very prepared. And you gotta think, the people, they're believing everything that Joseph says, so they're both nervous and they're scared at the same time. And then Joseph then goes on to say that, like, yo, when this day happens, be prepared, because God is coming back for us, and God is coming back for us, and we need to be ready, and we need to make sure that we're prepared. And, these people believe Joseph. They're happy and they're nervous at the same time. On the other hand, they actually believe that God is coming back. On one hand, they're kind of skeptical because it's Joseph. That, at this time, Joseph is being really mean to them. So they're at the point of whether or not they should, like, they're questioning his authority and be like, is he actually a messenger of God? Or is he just saying this stuff? Oh boy. And then Joseph announced that the date, he announces that on April 17th, the year 2000, that is when we're all gonna be saved from danger, and we're all gonna go to heaven together. crazy! And then Joseph basically tells all of his followers, like, yo, we all need to come together on this one day, and we need to go to a secret place for a secret meeting. And Joseph wanted a bunch of people to be a part of this little project. So people from like far away came to Uganda to be a part of this event. And then on the morning of April 17th, all the followers come together. Joseph is standing in front of them, and he's basically telling them, like, yo, just like, have faith and trust in God, because these people were tweaking out. They were like, he was like, no, right, just have faith in God, you'll be fine. And then Joseph basically, like, he led a ceremony, and the ceremony was all of them praying and all of them singing songs, basically just being together in the presence of God, if, you know. He told them to be strong and that God was watching over them. During the ceremony, Joseph then goes on to say that angels, I can see that, he claims to see signs from God, and he, like, is looking up here, and he's like, oh, I see angels, the heavens are opening. And then Joseph then proceeds to tell everybody to burn all of their food and all of their clothing, because this was going to be a way of telling God that, like, you're ready to enter heaven or something like that. And as the day went on, Joseph, like, he created a sense of urgency. So he would have been like, if you guys don't follow my instructions and my orders correctly, then you might miss your chance to be saved. And you got to think, Joseph put all of his followers in a room. The room was locked and a fire was started. I'm pretty sure you can guess how that went. They all got crisped to a crisp. Fire everywhere. He took a bunch of his followers, put them in a room. Said room was locked, so you couldn't get out, and a fire was in the room. So I'm pretty sure you can guess how that went down. The psychopath! After the fire, you gotta think, these people's loved ones are just outside of the church that they were at. So they start wondering, it's been like a couple hours. What's taking them so long? And then they rushed to the secret place, and they go, and it's a shocking scene. Their loved ones look like baked potatoes. And then sooner or later, the police pull up and they start investigating, and they wanted to know what happened, if it was an accident, if it was intentional. Sooner or later, they find out, it doesn't end well. And then sooner or later, people found out about Joseph. They found out that he was using his preaching stuff, and he was using a bunch of things to create a sense of fear and urgency in these people, and they actually believed everything he said. And because of this, and then some followers who survived actually shared their stories. They went on to say that Joseph would tell them that a day was coming where God was going to come back, and that they were, let me think about what they said. And they basically went on to talk about the truth of his strange rules, and how he basically just, like, used strict rules in Christianity and Jesus and God to basically control these people and get them to, quote unquote, do his bidding, whatever. And after this happened, they wanted to make sure that something like Joseph never happened again. So they called for more religious protection among these religious groups, and to make sure that cults like this didn't actually happen again. In the weeks that followed, memorials started happening, so people would come and pay their respects to the people that lost their lives. Yeah. This is why you don't trust preachers. I'm joking. Trust preachers, but like people that are actually of God, not like Joseph here. And then as police started investigating more on this fire and like the massacre that happened, they wanted to know how Joseph was able to keep all of them in a room, and how no one stopped him, and how the fire just spread through all of them without any of them running away. And then experts started talking about cults, and they started saying that usually the leader of a cult will use Christianity, Jesus, and God to like manipulate them and make them think that they're special. That's sad. And then after that, support groups started happening, and they just wanted to take in these people and make sure that they were okay, and that they needed help, and that what would happen, and that their scars and their trauma would be taken care of. And then at this time, this is when people started to, like, focus a lot and raise awareness on religious groups, and that, like, be careful who you actually listen to, and to make sure that the person you are listening to is not a psychotic maniac who will use you and burn you like a Little Caesar's pepperoni pizza. And then the communities started opening protection programs for people that were actually in these situations, and that people that actually went through it. Joseph. And then after the tragedy, how do I say this? People started basically making laws to protect religious groups, and it was crazy. But yeah, that was the restoration of the Ten Commandments. This happened in 1989. Yeah, it happened in 1989. But yeah, I just thought I wanted to tell the story, do my regular mojo, you know what I'm saying? Like, educate people on God and stuff. Yeah. But make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, because these videos actually take a really long time to make, and you'd be doing me the biggest favor if you actually did do those things. But yeah, without further ado, yeah. Thank you, I love you, and God bless.